So the Prime Minister of Canada, the liberal international banker Mark Carney, he let the cat out of the bag. He said that the rules-based international order is a lie. And they always knew it. They always knew that the rules-based international order is a total fiction. It's a complete fabrication. So why did America put a cat inside a bag? It's nonsense. Mark Carney made a very intelligent and rebellious speech at the World Economic Forum in Davos in the Swiss Alps within the canton of Graubunden. After World War II, actually it was 1944, we used to be on the Bretton Woods system. The world seemed to agree on a fair and rules-driven international monetary system. The US dollar is pegged to $35 per ounce of gold. That turned the US dollar into a world reserve currency. Then Nixon took America off the gold standard in 1971. And that's when major currencies shifted to floating exchange rates. Values of money are determined by market forces instead of sound, hard money. Instead of sound, hard, strong, and safe money. And that's where we're at today. Major currencies rely on floating exchange rates. Now, there's three reasons why we have money. There's three functions of money. Number one, money has a store of value. Money is a unit of account, and money is a medium of exchange. Money is only useful if it's got a store of value. Lots of things have stores of value: houses, land, chickens, food, dried goods, water. Even Oxycontin, when it was around, it had a store of value. If money has no value, then it's meaningless. Even the U.S. Constitution guarantees that all debts in the U.S. will be paid by silver and gold. That's Article 1, Section 10. No state shall make anything but silver and gold coin a tender for a payment of debts. States are also prohibited from coining money or emitting bills of credit. Only Congress has the power to coin money and to regulate its value. It's going back to anarchy. A bunch of hedge fund managers make bank on speculation and currency trading. It's not helpful for consumers, customers, producers. U.S. hegemony, said Mark Carney, helped many other middle powers out with access to public goods, opening sea lanes, stable financial systems, and collective security. But even with the benefits of U.S. empire, America would still cheat with convenient exemptions and asymmetrical trade rules. Our pedo president doesn't understand macroeconomics. William Jennings Bryan advocated for bimetallism. This tied the U.S. dollar to both silver and gold, but William Jennings Bryan was considered a foolish progressive. He's going to add silver to the gold standard? So it's ironic that America hasn't been on a gold or a silver standard for 55 years now. So the U.S. dollar is fiat currency. The U.S. dollar is fiat. The only value of the U.S. dollar is the value that you and I and him and her and whoever puts on it. If somebody says, that dollar don't mean shit to me, then your SLO, WTO, UN, the COP, even the European Union was created circling around the U.S. financial system. So we need some autonomy. We need to strengthen our own food in critical minerals and energy and supply chain and finance autonomy. The store of value of the world's currencies fluctuates, a floating exchange rate, so nothing is stable. No currency in the entire world is stable because of this post-Bretton Woods, post-gold standard system. You used to be able to take a dollar and be able to exchange it for some gold. It was backed by gold. It was backed by some asset. Now it's just backed by your perceptions. We need to strengthen our own food, critical minerals, energy, supply chain, and finance autonomy. The store of value of the world's currency fluctuates. It's a floating exchange rate. It's casino capitalism. Nothing is stable. The U.S. dollar in America's world financial system is a house of cards. If Americans actually knew about America's banking and monetary system, there would be a revolution before dawn, before the markets open. The U.S., with the world reserve currency, exports inflation. There's no limit to the total amount of cash Americans print up because it doesn't have to correlate with gold or silver stockpile. The dollar as the world reserve currency creates capital flight from emerging markets whenever the U.S. government raises interest rates. Deregulation has led to hyper-financialization. Trillions in cross-border flows. Derivative markets dwarf global GDP. Derivative markets, stocks, commodities, currencies, hedging, price discovery, speculation, like in options, swaps, and futures. Either OTC, over the counter, or traded as an organized exchange. Investors can bet for or against an asset without ever owning the asset itself, often using leverage, which multiplies the gains or multiplies the losses. Derivative markets dwarf global GDP. So the GDP, people producing a bunch of stuff, it doesn't reach to the level of global markets. It doesn't reach the level of derivative markets. Derivative markets are bigger than global GDP. So the financial markets are bigger than the market to produce things. You got the people who produce things. You got the workers, the consumers, the producers, the financiers. This is casino capitalism. Run amok. Casino capitalism rewards speculation over production. The global south gets caught up in debt traps and commodity dependence. From 1792 onwards, the United States had minted gold and silver coins as full legal tender at fixed ratios to the dollar. Used to have a $20 double eagle, a $20 gold double eagle, which contained about 1 ounce of gold. These circulated as money because their intrinsic metal value roughly matched their face value. So the coin, the gold and silver inside the coin, equaled the same value that gold and silver got on the market. That's what we need today. The Coinage Act of 1873, the crime of 73, is when they demonetized silver for standard coinage. And then 1934, the gold coin was stopped from being minted. Now, ancient Rome used to use a silver denarii. And the silver denarii was a trade currency, like a reserve currency. So the denarius was a Roman silver coin. It was a standard trade currency in the Mediterranean for centuries. It's similar to the Greek drachma or the Islamic gold dinar or the Spanish dollar. The American dollar was actually created very similar to the Spanish dollar. So America's current money system allows central banks to expand or contract money supply at will. The U.S. Mint still produces gold and silver coins. Right now, the American government produces $50 gold eagles. And technically, you could buy $50 worth of stuff with the $50 gold eagles, but the melt intrinsic value of American gold eagle vastly exceeds their face value. A $50 American gold eagle is actually worth about $2,500 to $3,000 today. So it's actually really stupid to take a $50 American gold eagle and buy $50 worth of goods, because you end up losing thousands of dollars in the exchange. These American gold eagles should actually have their actual values printed on them. The American system protects the creditors and they hose the debtors. America breaks the WTO trade rules with subsidies, tech bans, and tariffs. Random ass tariffs. The U.S. system is used to bully nations into submission until they break. China owns trillions of U.S. treasuries. America cheats the world. Our financial markets amplify volatility, and institutions mask coercion as cooperation. There's no talk of Bretton Woods 2.0 today, or to return to the gold and silver standard. The Federal Reserve is a private cartel which benefits the 1% at the expense of regular Americans. The customers, the workers, and the producers are raked over the coals of big finance. American banks create new money with fractional reserve banking. A loan credits a borrower's account with money that didn't exist before. This expands the money supply. When you expand the money supply, as Milton Friedman had taught us, this creates inflation. Fractional reserve banking creates inflation and perpetual debt cycles. Bankers engorge themselves with artificial and exploitative banking tricks without actually producing anything. The Federal Reserve is both public and private. It takes public tax dollars and allows private plutocrats to dictate interest rates and credit. Car makers, cake makers, even burger flippers at McDonald's actually produce a product. Our bankers, our currency manipulators, our speculators, American finance, big finance, they do not produce anything. They don't make anything. The movie It's a Wonderful Life illustrates how American banks don't actually invest in the American people. Money itself is traded as a commodity. Money itself is traded as a commodity. So the American dollar is traded as a commodity in order for profit through speculation, usury, and currency manipulation. Factories, workers, farmers end up bearing the cost because big finance socializes the cost and they privatize the profits, while the 1% get to reap unearned gains. The big finance the U.S. finance system is complex. And the complexity of America's system, the discount windows, the open market operations, the reserve requirements, it obscures how money actually flows and who actually benefits. Many problems that Americans face, especially economic problems, stem by the decisions made by unelected bankers rather than natural market forces or their own efforts. We need to nationalize money creation. We need to return to silver and gold standards. And we need to abolish the Fed altogether. We need to nationalize money creation, return to silver and gold standards, and abolish the Fed. The American financial system is rigged and opaque, and it turns productive labor into tribute for non-productive financiers. Hedge fund managers, they use a 2 and 20 structure of payment. They charge a 2% management fee. So if they took a $10 billion company, they would charge $200 million. Then they charge a 20% performance fee. A share of the fund's profits, they would take profits. They would take 20% of the profits. Hedge fund managers also put their own capital into their gambles, which amplifies their personal gains. George Soros broke the Bank of England in 1992 with his quantum fund. The United Kingdom had pegged their pound to a band around the German mark. George Soros had built a massive short position. Soros built a massive short position by selling off his pounds and borrowing pounds. So he's selling off the pounds, borrowing pounds, expecting to buy them cheaply later on in the future. And when Soros had shorted 10 billions worth of pounds with derivatives like futures and forwards, ultimately George Soros had won. George Soros broke the Bank of England. George Soros broke the Bank of England in 1992. He bet the pound would devalue because of economic fundamentals and policy misalignments. So George Soros had profited $1 billion in a single day. And the United Kingdom government lost billions defending their currency. Bill Ackman in 2020, in a credit default swap during COVID, helped him turn $27 million into $2.6 billion in weeks. So when it comes to big finance, when it comes to the financial markets, I mean, you got government, then you got business, and then you have the banks. You have insurance. You have investment banks. You have $60 trillion pension funds and mutual funds and hedge funds and private equity and venture capital. So we need a Bretton Woods System 2.0. We should be minting silver and gold dollars and printing how much they are worth on their face, because people are just taking those silver and gold dollars, those American gold eagles, and they're using them for bullion. They're using them for reserve. I think we should tie the dollar to everything we could tie the dollar down to silver and gold, to precious metals, to marijuana, to animals and crops and housing and land, and especially to cryptocurrency. It's incredible that we have a president that made $1.5 billion during his presidency when he's supposed to be strengthening the American dollar. He stole all that oil from Venezuela, sold it for what, who knows how much. He's got a private fund in some other offshore account, and he's going to use all those profits from the oil that he stole from Venezuela to spend it like his own personal piggy bank. How many millions, how many billions of dollars are we talking here? Is this going to help the American people? Because the 1% definitely are helped out by finance. Finance helps out the 1%, but the 99%, apparently a lot of people use banks, and sometimes the banks actually loan out credit. Sometimes banks actually take people in, open up an account, and loan out credit. And that gives easy access to credit for ordinary Americans. But besides that, that's the only thing that the big finance is doing for the 99%. When it comes to the big trades, when it comes to the speculations and the venture capital and the private equity and hedge funds and all the rest, The 1% are making bank. Meanwhile, the American people are getting hosed. So it's time for us to sing ourselves a new song. The last will be first and the first will be last. That's Jesus, the Christ.